I titled today's mind map, The Inward Relationships Reflect Accordingly. I want to relate this over to Tuesday's video, in which we spoke about the definite chief aim. We also talked about how we could relate the definite chief aim over to the different areas of our lives, such as family, friends, intellectual, spiritual, and we could relate those areas over to our definite chief aim. Now, this is one of the things that I enjoy doing because I find that it not only expresses in what we would say as focus and concentration. In other words, I genuinely show up wanting to do exactly what it is that I plan to do. Because not only have I thought about the relatability, but I really feel the relatability. Another thing that happens is it reveals what I refer to many times and was discussed extensively in Think and Grow Rich, and actually all throughout Napoleon Hill's philosophy, the mastermind. Now, Napoleon Hill describes the mastermind as the following. He says, the mastermind may be defined as coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. Now, when we allow ourselves to become one with, subconsciously, our definite chief aim, by creating it, number one, committing to it, number two, and number three, supporting it by seeing the relatability, what we will find is ideal relationships, which can be mastermind partners, business associates, personal relationships, clients, and so forth, are revealed. And in conversation and in dialogue with these individuals, you'll find that your definite chief aim is related to their definite chief aim, their definite purpose, and so forth. One of the reasons why it's important then to create a definite chief aim, have a goal, have a vision. I say this all throughout the videos. Because there are many things that occur in the backgrounds that we might not know. We call these the unknown ways that orchestrate the realization of that definite chief aim. One of them being with a lot of goals. Relationships, harmonious relationships. Now, I've seen this in my life. I've seen this play out in my personal life, in my business life, in all areas of my life. When I commit to a definite chief aim, right away from that moment, relationships change. My experiences with others change. And more specifically put, relationships that are in harmony with my definite chief aim, and my definite chief aim also being in harmony in some shape or form with the others who show up, reveal what Napoleon Hill calls the mastermind. Now he goes on to say, so you may better understand the intangible potentialities of power available to you through a properly chosen mastermind group. We will here explain the two characteristics of the mastermind principle, one of which is economic in nature, and the other psychic. Remember, this was borrowed from Think and Grow Rich, but this can relate to all areas of life, such as what we described in Tuesday's video. He says the economic feature is obvious. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds himself with the advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group who are willing to lend them wholehearted aid in the spirit of perfect harmony. Now, what we'll find is that when we're committed to our definite chief aim, the mastermind reveals themselves. All of a sudden, people show up in unexpected ways. Perhaps certain connections from our past get rekindled again. So what I found is that I don't have to go look for a mastermind. They seem to show up. And they could show up in the most unexpected ways. I've met people at airports that became part of certain mastermind conversations on specific topics. All of a sudden, I would get people that reach out from my past. Many years ago, I haven't spoken to them. They seem to show up upon commitment to the definite chief aim. Or people seem to stand out, and I have this desire to reach out to them. And they become part of the mastermind. I believe that this is stimulated from the commitment to the definite chief aim, definite purpose. And so this reveals this perfect harmony. And then what we do is we encourage each other. We have conversations. We reflect upon our personal experiences, and we find relatability. Now, one of the interesting things that I've experienced as a result of working with this mastermind principle is that people seem to show up to teach us what we can do more of. They teach us how to live our philosophy even more so. They also show up ready to learn from our own personal experiences. So we see this as teacher and student being one. The student is the teacher is a student. Now we can look at that from the perspective of traditional teacher and student relationships, in which we discussed in a video that I released recently. I'll put a discussion in regards to learning and learning how to learn. In regards to a mastermind, the same dynamic plays out. The information that they have is in harmony and in contribution to our vision, and the information that we have is in harmony and in contribution to their vision. They both inspire us and reveal what's going on within ourselves, bringing to the surface perhaps some programming that's in the subconscious mind to discuss and perhaps make peace with. They also stimulate ideas, inspiration, insights, and perspectives that we can take and apply towards our definite chief aim. Now, these conversations seem to be very encouraging. We'll notice that it's very flow-based. Because this operates from an authentic spirit of harmony, benefit for us, benefit for them, benefit for divine and evolution, a total all-encompassing spirit of harmony, which helps us understand then the next part of this, he says. The psychic phase of the mastermind principle is much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend because it has reference to the spiritual forces with which the human race as a whole is not well acquainted, although I believe that we are becoming more acquainted with these spiritual forces. There are many videos on YouTube and many discussions being had nowadays. I meet many people sharing their own interpretations and perspectives of these spiritual forces. Some way, somehow, these unknown elements play a role, or unknown factors, at least not known to the five senses, play a role in bringing forth our definite chief aim and helping others also bring forth their definite chief aim. And they could show up as thoughts, ideas, or opportunities that seem to reveal themselves, revealing the acres of diamonds of imagination. So we could say that the mastermind stimulates our imagination. Well, notice this. When we have conversations with others that resemble this mastermind principle, we'll notice that we travel with them together in mind, in imagination. I've noticed this. I seem to experience exactly what it is that they're describing. I actually experience in my imagination them with me. And we seem to travel together in our imaginations together into the infinite world within to gather insights and perspectives, ideas, inspiration. Now, this forms a relationship. So let's go a little deeper into this. He says, you may catch a significant suggestion from this statement. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third, invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. So we seem to connect to the superconscious together, the infinite world of imagination and infinite intelligence, as a result of the clarity that we have to our own purpose. Now, what we'll also notice is that these conversations seem to further clarify our definite chief aim. We seem to help them, and they seem to help us, although I would say reveal to us the relatability to the different areas of our lives. We feel even more fused with our vision, with our definite chief aim. This seems to be expressed as certain behavior, certain actions, and certain kinds of experiences that seem to follow, certain synchronicities. All of a sudden, time seems to be distorted. This is a flow-based experience. This is actually in parallel to being in flow. These are flow-based conversations, flow-based relationships. Because, as he states here, the human mind is a form of energy, a part of it being spiritual in nature. When the minds of two people are coordinated in a spirit of harmony, the spiritual units of energy of each mind form an affinity, which constitutes the psychic phase of the mastermind. Now we can see also why we enjoy revisiting Think and Grow Rich again and again. And I've been reading this book since 2004. It has helped me achieve all of my definite chief aims. And it helped me also inspire others to create their own definite chief aims, which I aim to do on this channel as well, in the last video, and further inspire. And I also find that he had a way of communicating this information, which, as we've been tracking back, goes to the Corpus Hermeticum, emerald tablets, ancient texts, and so forth. He had a way of communicating that really resonated with me when I needed the information presented to me in a certain way. Think and Grow Rich. Now, as I start to understand this information even more so, I realize that there's a lot more depth to what was being suggested in the book. Not only did it open up doors to information in which revealed the sources of these ideas, but it also produces the results in ways that we could say, I never thought of would happen in that way. Unknown ways. So he definitely encourages that. And although throughout the book he gives very, you could say, practical steps, I believe a large part of the philosophy is going into the unknown, bringing forth the mastermind individuals. They reveal themselves. And through the encouragement of the conversations we have with them, the dialogues, the interactions, and the experiences, which actually we could say, when we go back here, the spiritual forces, is happening at an energetic level. Otherwise, why would he say the human mind is a form of energy? Now, here are some good questions that will allow us to stimulate these conversations in a mastermind. A lot of times we'll find is that naturally we will ask certain questions during the mastermind. Those questions also reflect the experiences the other individual has had, or the individuals that have overcome the challenges that they were facing. And from there, they are stimulated to ask certain questions as well. Now, to connect to the definite chief aim, and to further stimulate in our imagination a deep relationship with the definite chief aim, which will allow us to reveal our mastermind, we'll notice these individuals showing up. As I have now been working with this information for many years, I've seen this to be the case. They show up in very interesting ways. And we'll know when we find them, such as the law. Here are some questions. How do I enjoy expressing my creativity? We'll notice that when we do certain hobbies, when we engage in certain activities that stimulate our creativity, those people seem to be there. They've been there in places that I've traveled, in places that I like to go, and I've met them a lot of times doing activities that stimulated my creativity, such as going for walks, going to the beach, or snowboarding. These activities not only stimulate the creativity, but allow us to form a deeper relationship with our definite chief aim. And since I believe, and I have mentioned this many times, I trust we all have recognized the reality of it, that all subconscious minds are connected, and by encouraging our definite chief aim, in our imagination, we actually send the message to others who seem to show up at those places, at the right place and at the right time. We say this, at the exact place at the exact time, as a result of encouraging our own creativity. Another question: what activities invigorate me? What activities seem to bring out more energy? Could be certain sports, could be going to certain events. I found that when I asked myself these questions, like, how do I enjoy expressing creativity? I get some ideas and I want to do those things. When I participate in activities that invigorate me, I meet my mastermind. They're there. Maybe they were having the same thinking processes or similar processes, thinking the same things from different perspectives, yet implying the same exact idea. Number 3, what are my natural talents? Maybe a person likes public speaking. I'll reflect back on my experience. I enjoy public speaking. And when I did those events with iris reading, and I still do them every now and then, the speed reading workshops, I met a whole bunch of individuals at the end of those workshops who took the workshops, in which we had very interesting mastermind conversations that are memorable till this day. And some of you actually who are watching this video may have actually discovered me through these workshops. But it's something that I genuinely wanted to do. Now we'll see this. For example, I have some friends who are restaurateurs. They're naturally good at, and they naturally want to encourage their culinary skills. And they have met their significant others, lasting, deep, meaningful relationships, and mastermind partners as a result of allowing themselves to express their natural talent. So this is exactly what I mean when I say, I trust we're understanding it more so, or this is a further affirmation in regards to what you were already thinking, in regards to thinking from the perspective of feeling one with your definite chief aim. That when you encourage inner dialogues, or we could say imagination in relation to our definite chief aim, definite purpose, it brings these people into awareness. Perhaps they were always there. Maybe we just never saw them that way before, but now we see them that way. And this is beyond, let's say, a conceptual. This is a feeling, spirit of harmony. As he says, the human mind is a form of energy, a part of it being spiritual in nature. The spiritual aspects of our minds connect and bring us together. Number 4, where do I feel an expansion of energy? You'll notice this. Maybe there's certain environments. Maybe there are certain people that you have conversations with in which there seems to be an energy expressing from you during these conversations. Perhaps you are tired, and then you jump on a phone call with them. All of a sudden, you feel energized. I would say that these hold clues for a mastermind. Those that awaken this energy within ourselves are actually encouraging our definite chief aim in some shape or form. Although we may not have correlated that before. But that's important when it comes to selecting a mastermind, or we've been discussing, it reveals. And I trust that one or two or some of these questions, or even some of the aspects and attributes in this conversation today, which is a result of my own personal experience and working with others, will reveal some insights, perhaps stimulate a part of your own mind to bring forth your mastermind. You'll notice this, and I've said this once before. A number of years ago, 2008, I encouraged an idea that there are more people like me than I could possibly ever meet. Because at that time in my life, it didn't seem like I had people around me that were thinking the way I was thinking for that next phase of the journey, which was leaving the corporate job and going into full-time entrepreneurship. But I encouraged that idea, and then one by one, people started showing up. So I kept encouraging that idea. As a matter of fact, I brought up earlier that people show up asking me certain questions based on what I've already learned. And one of the things that I've learned is that when I commit to an assumption like that, it becomes a reality, and it became a reality, and it's so deeply woven into my belief system that many show up and say, look, I think differently now. I see reality from a whole new perspective. Things have changed in my life. I would love to meet people, my own mastermind, although they might not say mastermind. They want relationships, friendships, business partners who share a very similar perspective on reality based on their understandings and conclusions that they have formed, which may be distinct, which may seem so individualized and distinct that the assumption may be people couldn't possibly think this way. And so I share with them my experience. I say, look, I had that same experience back in the days, and then people like that started showing up. So every time I had changed and I had grown and I had experienced, and my perspectives on life changed all throughout the years and continue to change as I become more of who I am, I remind myself that that's the way it really is. And people really do show up in unexpected ways to reveal the exact same thinking processes, belief systems, distinct ideas that I thought no one else perhaps would think that way. They would show up. They show up till this day, engaging in a dialogue on those particular points, further elaborating upon it, sharing their own reference experiences. We build upon it together. That's the power of the mastermind. We tap into the third mind, as he refers to. And also, very related, another way of saying it, where do I find inspiration? Where do I find inspiration? Remember, we say feeling is the secret. It's actually quite simple. A child knows this. They do what they really feel like doing. I'm talking about intuition. As Steve Jobs had said, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you want to become. Now, I keep saying that to myself over and over again because I never want to forget that. Because you know what? Sometimes it can take courage to really do something that will inspire you, because I believe that is transcending past the programming, which seems to say, no, don't do the thing that inspires you, do this other thing instead. Now, if we really stop for a moment and question that thought process and say, is that really so? Is that how I truly want to live? I mean, really, is that how I truly want to live? We will discover that what we truly want to live is from a place of inspiration. And so then a person does whatever that thing is in regards to inspiration. It could be something like go for a walk. It could be a meditation. It could be going into your imagination and vividly imagining that which you desire. It could be booking a flight. It could be travel. It could be spontaneous, such as the example that I gave in Tuesday's video, which reveals your mastermind by simply allowing yourself to do what you truly want to do, which is your inspiration. Now, as you continue to do this, you'll notice that it'll become a habit. It will become a way of life. And when you reflect back, you go back to this video, you'll realize that this is exactly how it works. And as a matter of fact, it always worked this way. Our thinking patterns were playing out as theater in how we relate to others. And what we're saying here is that this style of thinking pattern, that people are in harmony and in contribution to our vision, exists, and we can find them. And as a matter of fact, they will show up. One does not even have to go searching. They show up. Yeah, you might get a hunch or inspiration to do something that you really want to do, something that expresses your creativity, invigorates you, develops and expresses your natural talents, expands your energy, where you find inspiration, and that's what we call inspired action. Inspiration, allowing the inspiration to guide us. And as mentioned, it can take courage, although through the repetition of making peace with certain thinking patterns that are within the subconscious mind, you'll find that this is a way of life. You'll just do it like a child would. We reconnect back to the childlike nature of doing what we truly love to do and are inspired to do. Thus revealing the relationships. Now look at this. Many of us can look back at our past, and I have friends from grade school that every now and then we meet up. We share a special connection. We have certainly many stories going back high school and so forth, but we have this deep connection in which we understand ourselves and each other so well that we seem to speak our own language. It won't make sense to anyone listening to us. We make up our own words and we speak our own language. And you know what? These were individuals that were found when we were childlike. And what I'm suggesting here is that this mastermind principle, this childlike relationship with ourself within, one that is encouraged by our definite chief aim, and creativity and inspiration, reveals those that reflect it. It's expressed, it's a reflection. The outer reflection is the relationship in different shapes or form. Business relationship, personal relationships, friendships, or even individuals that we might meet. Maybe we only share a moment together. Maybe it's one brief conversation. But that conversation provides exactly what it is, the insight that we were looking for, and vice versa. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage this train of thought so we could reveal our mastermind and have the relationships that we truly want to have, which again is a reflection of certain thinking patterns in regards to relationships, in regards to our definite chief aim, to further reveal others who are also on the same path, thus bringing forth harmonious relationships from a place of flow and relatability, intuitive relationships. We can say, I recognize that through my definite purpose, my definite chief aim, reality rearranges to reflect as people, environment, circumstance, and information to reveal my congruence and commitment to my definite chief aim and my definite purpose. And in relationship from this premise, people show up in known and unknown ways to inspire us, to contribute in a mutually beneficial way in which we form relationships with them. Personal relationships, business relationships. I realize that all my relationships, when formed from the premise of my definite chief aim, which is related to the alchemical great work as I live it, reflect accurately how I truly am meant to live, which is what I truly love. Thus I understand deeply that love is the law and expresses accordingly as harmonious relationships that reflect the love within myself. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.